Welcome back to my Star Wars Legends Expanded Universe chronological timeline order, where I'm going through the Expanded Universe according to my personal timeline order list and ranking each and every individual piece of media on a 10-point scale. And we are on our second short film here, which means I will be reacting to it with you live and then giving my thoughts at the end. So I explained this more in the last one of these that I did. Sort of weird, maybe perhaps to have a review and a reaction together, but tried to execute it as best as I could, and I'm going to try to execute it just a little bit better this time around. But with that out of the way, we're going to get right into Star Wars The Old Republic Timeline number 11, Rebirth of the Sith Empire. This is written by an unknown person in real life, but in universe it's written by Jedi Master Gnost-Dural and narrated by him as well. This was released in 2010 and takes place at approximately 4,904 BBY. It's a short film that was put out by BioWare to tie into Star Wars The Old Republic, the game. On to the reaction. Alright, welcome back to another one of these reactions for timeline number 11, Rebirth of the Sith Empire. This is the second one of these that I'm going to do. Last time my audio was a little shoddy, so you couldn't really hear me over the recording, so I had to put subtitles in. If that's the case this time, I apologize in advance, but I am trying to sort that out, get the audio a little lower on the video so that you can hear me as I react to this. Let's get right into this. Let's check, make sure that looks good. Yeah, it looks great. All right, let's go. I do really like that logo. That music is really great. That
For more than 1,000 years, the resurrected Sith Empire advanced unchecked in deep space. All the while, we Jedi believed the Sith were extinct, though several self-proclaimed Sith Lords challenged the Republic. They were all fallen Jedi, not true Sith. The true Sith were the biological descendants of the ancient red-skinned race native to Korriban. The true Sith were extinct, except those who fled into exile 900 years ago. The success of their reincarnated civilization is testimony to the dark genius of the Sith Emperor. But the dedication of the Imperial people must be acknowledged as well. In our brief glimpses into the Empire's secret history, one name stands out: Grand Moff Odile Viken, the founder of the modern Imperial military.
I don't like that they were called Grand Moffs 3,000 years
As
before.
a child, Viken was one of the few
Before Palpatine's
survivors who
empire.
fled the carnage on Korriban at the end of the Great Hyperspace War. To escape their enemies,
Those are weird
the Emperor led
transport
a
ships.
small fleet of Sith ships in a hyperspace jump into uncharted regions.
The music
The
is great.
exiled fleet wandered in deep space for many years thereafter. During this time, Viken learned navigation and became one of the fleet's most respected pilots. The survivors finally settled on the jungle world of Dromund-Kaas. There, the Emperor revealed his vision to build a new civilization of unrivaled efficiency. And he promised his people vengeance. He promised them an empire destined to dominate the galaxy, an empire destined to bring about the Republic's destruction. The Emperor's role in Reconstruction was as visionary alone. He said to have withdrawn into isolation and left the logistics to a newly formed Dark Council and to loyal Imperial leaders like Odile Viken. While the Dark Council debated long-term plans in the Sith power structure, the young Viking took on the monumental task of establishing order. Viking drafted every non-Force user of age into the new Imperial military. He then developed the Imperial Military Training Regimen that remains to this day. With his army well-trained, Viking led a campaign to carve a footprint
That's so cool looking.
in the wilderness of Drumcus, to create room for the Empire's new capital to flourish. Records suggest that during the campaign, he personally slew a rabid Tyrantatek on the site where the Imperial Citadel stands today.
Awesome.
After establishing the Empire's dominion on
Those
Drumcus,
beasts are going to come
Viking
up in
turned his attention to
Tales of the
constructing a new
Jedi,
Imperial Navy,
light and darker, shadow and light.
Dividing his
Tales
troops
comic.
between engineering, mining, and manufacturing. He laid the groundwork for an ambitious plan, the creation of the Imperial Armada. By his own estimates, the task would take centuries. Viking knew he would never see even a fraction of his plan's success.
Kind of sad.
Nonetheless, he garnered the support of the Dark Council and started the work. It was this act which earned Viking the honor of being the first Grand Moff recognized in the new Imperial military. Grand Moff Viking was eventually killed during an Imperial campaign to conquer an alien system in deep space. He died in battle on the bridge of a prototype Star
Even before
Destroyer,
they came back to the Republic, they were
a fitting
expanding.
end to the first
Wow.
Imperial Grand Moff. Though Viking was lost all those centuries ago,
Look at
his
those
plan
Sith
and his
troopers.
name lived
Great
on to
armor.
inspire
Great
countless
armor.
generations who marched under the Imperial banner. Viking's story represents the surprising loyalty the Imperial citizens show to an empire in which they will always be subservient to the Sith.
Very true. Very true.
I believe the roots of this loyalty lie in the events of the Great Hyperspace War. I'll explain my theory in a subsequent report.
The report being that of the previous recording that we watched. So now I'm going to give my thoughts on that recording. Good stuff. So this ends an extremely interesting timeline. This was a fun 5-minute watch. It provided some great detail for how the story progresses from Tales of the Jedi to SWTOR, with the introduction and explanation for the Empire that shows up kind of out of nowhere and where it came from. That is the Empire founded by Tenebrae / Valkorian / Vitiate, whichever way you want to call him. And there's some codexes that I wanted to mention real quick with this video. They don't warrant their own video because they're not prose fiction, but there's some background information. There's one called Birth of the Emperor, which depicts how he is born and he's black-eyed and heartless, and he amasses a huge army of Sith followers. He turns his back on all the politician, with all the political warfare between Ludocresh and Nagasadal, and he amasses his followers and his powers kind of quietly, without trying to draw attention. Then there's one called Lord Drameth, which details a Sith named Drameth who discovers Tenebrae and all of his power. And then there's a codex entry called Tenebrae that gives further information about how he murders his stepfather, tortures his mother, subjugates his people to torture. He conquered the entirety of his homeworld, imprisoned his biological father. He was just a menace, this Tenebrae. And he eventually would become the Padawan of Marka Ragnos, which is depicted in these codexes. And obviously then Ludocresh and Nagasadal fight for the throne, where Tenebrae was smart, and he took a step back and said, I don't want power now. I'm not ready. Right? And so he and his followers were able to survive the genocide of the Sith and the Massassi, brought about by the Republic during the Tales of the Jedi, Fall of the Sith Empire, and Golden Age of the Sith storylines. So that's how he managed to, he bided his time, he waited, and those are some codexes that provide some background to his origins, which is somewhat interesting. And this timeline then explains how Tenebrae and his followers would then go and settle the world of Dromund Kaas. So while the other Sith are all defeated, except for the Lost Tribe of the Sith on Kesh, which we're not going to hear about for a long time, Naga Sadow on Yavin 4, which will come up again eventually, and of course then these Sith who will go to Dromund Kaas, and they are going to be camped out there for some 900 years. Centuries of waiting, biding his time. This guy is maniacal, he's patient, he's cold-hearted with black eyes, he's a menace. And so just wanted to mention those codexes as background, because I feel like they provide a lot of narrative explanation for how it goes from Tales of the Jedi to this timeline. Now talking exclusively about the timeline here, this is very interesting to me for a multitude of reasons, a plethora of reasons. This Grand Moff who they mention, very interesting. He is building the Sith Armada, and it's somewhat depressing because he knows he will never live to see the impressive Sith Armada that he assembles, but he puts the work in motion. He gets the gears turning, gets it cranking out production for this Sith this massive Sith fleet that is going to take centuries to build up, and they're going to be a menace for the Republic thanks to this Grand Moff. There's so many great things here. The art is great as always. The effects with the laser blasts and the music and the narration is on point as always. It's just so good. Another thing here that I really like, how they never show the Emperor's face, Valkorion/Vitiate. They only reveal that later on and then say that it wasn't actually like that. But they keep him shrouded with mystery, which makes him so much more threatening as a character. Which is really cool. I really like Valkorion/Vitiate/Tenebrae. He's very unique. He really stands apart from all the Sith Lords at this time. And I love the blind dedication that, again, it hammers home. The Sith always have these blind followers who will do anything for an empire and an emperor who doesn't care for them. It happens over and over, and Star Wars just really hammers home that this is just a blind ignorance, this faith in an ideal that their leaders don't have. And it again covers that here, which is repetitive, but I always love that, like that how it shows that all of the Sith's followers are so misguided, which is always sort of interesting to me. And another good thing about this story is just progressing, like I said, the Tales of the Jedi era to the SWTOR era, connecting it neatly. Fantastic job from the people who put this together. They really had the lore in mind when they were explaining how where the true Sith were, and how there's various followers of Sith teaching, but not really true Sith in the following Tales of the Jedi comics. So it's very interesting. All of this is super interesting. My one negative is I really don't like that they are called Grand Moffs at this time. This is this is 4,904 years before the Battle of Yavin. So why are they called Grand Moffs here? I guess they can adopt that later, but it would have been cooler for a different title, I think, and I would have liked it better for lore implications and reasons. But overall, this is another fantastic listen, another fantastic viewing. I absolutely love these. They are so good, and I've watched them so many times, and I cherish these. These are so much fun. They're really helpful too for keeping the lore in perspective, and for those reasons, I'm giving it a 6 of 10. Solid watch. It's just super enjoyable. I really love these, and I can't say enough good things about them, and recommend them to everyone who is a Star Wars fan. I think these should be essential viewing. But what about you guys? What did you think of Star Wars: The Old Republic, Timeline number 11, Rebirth of the Sith Empire? I thought it was a super enjoyable viewing.